Hi, it's Mr. H, and today we're going to talk about tuning your instrument. This video will be for anybody that plays a band instrument. We'll talk about three things. First, we'll just show you a little bit about why you need to tune. Then I'll show you how to adjust your individual instrument. We'll show every instrument. And then at the end, we'll talk a little bit more about why tuning works and why you need to do it. First, I'll show you why we need to tune. I'm going to play the note C on my clarinet. And if I change the tuning of my clarinet, and I'm going to really exaggerate it here, I'm going to play a C again, but you'll hear that it's quite a bit different. So even though I haven't changed my fingers, I have the correct fingers for a C, I can get different sounds. So tuning your instrument just means that we're trying to get your instrument to make the exact right sound. All instruments are tuned a little bit differently. We're going to quickly show you how to adjust your instrument. If you play the flute, when you put your instrument together, you really shouldn't put it all the way together. You should leave it out about, a small amount, about that much. If you're sharp, you need to pull your flute out and make it bigger. And if you're flat, you'll need to push in further and make it smaller. Another very important part about tuning the flute is you always have to make sure this is lined up the same way every time. If you twist this and then don't put it back in the right spot, that also changes your tuning. For the clarinet, we usually want to be put all the way together. Make sure you're pushed all together and none of these joints are separated at all. Then you can play, and if you're sharp, you may need to pull out a little bit, and we pull out from here, from the bottom of the barrel. This is where we adjust a clarinet. If you're flat, it could mean that your mouth is too loose, and we need to make sure we firm up that mouth, have a nice flat chin. I like to think E, A, M. And so E, A, M. And that gives me a nice firm embouchure, and that will help me also play better in tune. When we tune the saxophone, first of all, when we put it together, we usually want to have this pushed in as far as you're able to. There might just be a small amount of cork showing. Go ahead and make sure you have a lot of cork grease on this. Use your muscles, push it in as far as it will go. Then, if you're sharp, you can pull out a little bit. So we just take our mouthpiece, pull it out. You'll notice there's more cork showing here now. And we just adjust by pushing in or pulling out. You have to be careful not to knock your reed out of alignment when you do this. You may have to put your reed back on after you tune. That's okay, that's how it goes. Also, if you're pushed all the way in as far as it'll go and you're still flat, your note is still too low, that could mean that your mouth is too loose. Firm up your embouchure a little bit. Firm up a little pressure on the reed maybe, and that will help you play more in tune. Brass instruments have a tuning slide. This is a trumpet, and the tuning slide is here. And you can see when you put your trumpet together, usually we don't want this pushed all the way in. So if your slide is all the way in, we want to start by having it out a little bit. Also, if your slide doesn't move, you need to grease that up. There's grease for this. It's important this slide is able to move back and forth. You may have to ask your band director or even take it to the store to get it loosened up if it gets stuck. Okay, but if you're sharp, that means you're too high. We need to make your instrument bigger, and we're going to pull out. This would be way too much. Usually you would never be pulled out that much. If you're flat, we would need to push in. It's possible you would have to push in all the way. Now, the trumpet, all brass instruments, your sound is controlled very much by your lips and how you blow. So just because we push in and pull out a certain amount, we also have to make sure we're buzzing and blowing the right way. And then there's the trombone. Like the trumpet, we have a tuning slide. The tuning slide is at the top of your trombone. If I was playing my trombone, it'd be like this. And the tuning slide is here at the top of it. And you'll see I can adjust it. I can pull it in, push it out. This slides, oops, back and forth. If it comes off like that, just put it back on again. When you play your trombone, normally it should be set a little bit apart like this. Normally it's not all the way in. Normally it would be out a little. Okay. If it's hard to pull in or push out, make sure you grease it up with slide grease. If it doesn't move, you may have to ask your band director for help, or maybe even take it to the store to get fixed, because this has to slide back and forth in order to play in tune. So if you're sharp, which means you're too high, we would have to make your trombone a little bit bigger by sliding it out. And if you're flat, which means you're too low, your instrument's too big, and we would have to push that in a little bit. Like all brass instruments, the way that you blow, the sound that you make is controlled by how you blow, how you buzz, your lip pressure. There's a lot of things that control the sound that actually comes out of your instrument. So adjusting it the right way is important, but we also have to be able to buzz and blow your instrument the right way. I don't have a baritone to show you, but the baritone is also a brass instrument, and it will also have a tuning slide. So all you would do is locate the tuning slide on your baritone and push it in, push it out. So we're going to use the Bandmate Chromatic Tuner, which I recommend. You have to make sure you have your instrument selected up here, otherwise it would tell you the wrong notes. But the nice thing about this is it will tell you what note you're playing. Down at the bottom, it will tell you if your note is too high or too low. If the arrow is over here, your note is too high, we call that sharp. If your arrow is over here, it's too low, and we call that flat. First, I'm just going to play my clarinet. Let's see if I'm in tune or not. So my arrow's over here, and that means I'm sharp. Sharp means my instrument is too small, so I'm going to pull it out. Oh, I pulled it out too far. Now I'm flat. So I'm trying to get this right in the middle. All I'm trying to do is adjust my clarinet so that it is in the exact right spot to play a note in tune. Let's try one more time. Okay, that's pretty good. That's in tune. The arrow is green. I'm right in the middle here. If you're haven't been playing for too long, it can be hard to keep this completely steady, but you'll want to try and get it as close as you can. If you can get your arrow to be green and stay between these two lines, you're doing pretty good. When we adjust our instrument, it's just trial and error. We pull out, we push in until we get it where we want it to be.